Hello everyone. We're going to go over, or I'm going to go over a few practice problems before you do the try these for 8-1, just to make sure that you feel good enough about doing all of those problems on your own. So, number one, let's write 1 over 2,000 as a percent. So we would like to know if we wrote 1 over 2,000, what number would that be out of 100? So you can do it a couple of different ways. You can either solve it as an algebraic equation by multiplying both sides by 100 and by 2,000, or you can think of, well, in order to go from 2,000 to 100, we divided by 20. So we can take 1, the numerator, divide it by 20. 1 divided by 20 is 0.05, which is a very small percent. It's less than 1%. So that would be my answer. Or I can work it out, both sides by 100. I get 100 equals 2,000. X, divide both sides by 2,000. I would get 100 divided by 2,000. That would give me 0.05. Same thing. So 0.05% for number one. For number two, we want to know what 31 1/8 is as a percent. So here we're talking about, well, what would that look like out of 100? Well, we can either keep it as a fraction and rewrite it as 249 over 8. And solve it. You would get 24,900 divided by 8 equals x, and that would be 3,112.5%. If you already know that 1/8 is going to be 0.125, you could have started with 31.125 equals x over 100, multiply both sides by 100, and get this directly. Okay, for number three, we want to write the following percents both as a fraction and as a decimal. So 1 over 25% is really 1/25 over 100, or divided by 100, which is really 1/25 times 1 over 100, which is a very small number, 1 over 2,500. That's my fraction. So I've written it as a fraction. In order to get the decimal, I can just do 1 divided by 2,500, plug it into a calculator. You get 0.0004. That would be my equivalent decimal. For part B, same thing. I would write, well, 0.98% would be 0.98 over 100. I would do the same thing, or I could also change that into, well, let's just do it differently. Let's do 0.98. Let's make that into 98. If we multiply the top by 100, I'm going to multiply the bottom by 100, the denominator, and I would get 10,000. So 98 10,000ths is the same as 0.98 100ths. We'd like to simplify that. Oh, let's just first for a second. We can simplify that. Let's simplify it down here. That will be 49 over 5,000. That is my fraction. Well, 98 10,000ths is already going to tell me what the decimal is, because that's 0.0098 as a decimal. 98 10,000ths. If you have trouble, you can do 98 divided by 10,000 in your calculator, and this is what you would get. Okay, 5 3/4%. You're going to do the same thing again. 5 3/4 out of 100 is what number? Well, that's 5.75 out of 100. I can do the same thing as I did in the previous one, where I said, well, that's just 575 over 10,000. So what I did was, in order to get rid of the decimal in the numerator, I multiplied the numerator by 100. But that means in order to keep the number the same, I need to multiply the denominator by 100. So it's 575 over 10,000. Well, that can be reduced. I'm going to divide both the numerator and denominator by 25, and that is 23 over 400. That's my fraction. In order to get the decimal, you could do 23 divided by 400 in your calculator, and that would give you 0.0575. You could also notice in this step right here that we already have our decimal answer, 575 10,000ths. So we need that last 5 to be in the 10,000ths place. Okay, the last problem we're going to do is we're going to order the following from least to greatest. So you'll have a couple of these problems in your homework today, and you will have decimals, fractions, and percents. So in order to compare them, let's just make them all into the same form and then easily order them from least to greatest. I'm noticing that 32% would be easy to change into a decimal. 1/4 is easy as a decimal. I've got a decimal in the third one. So let's just change them all into decimals. My first one is 0.32. 32% is really 32 out of 100, remember? Which is really 0.32. 1/4 is 0.25. You can also, if you did not know that, you could do 1/4 equals what out of 100 to get the decimal. Okay, that'll give you the decimal. It'll also give you the percent, but it'll give you the decimal. 0.4 is already a decimal. And how about 7/20ths? Either you can do 7 divided by 20, or you can do, well, in order to go from 20 to 100, 7 needs, you multiply by 5, so 7 times 5, that equals 35 over 100, so it's 0.35 for my decimal. Now we can order them. I'm noticing that this will be the first one. That's the least, so I have 1/4 as my least. Then the 32% is my second one. 7/20ths is my third, and the 0.40 is my largest. So that's the order from least to greatest. Okay, if you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, try the homework for today, and hopefully this helped. Bye.